Sorry about that.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining us. We'd like to seek the blessings of Radha Krishna, Radha Mata, Radha Shamsundar, Krishna Balaram, Gauritai, Shri Prabhupada, Maharaj, assembled Vaishnavas. A couple of days ago, it was Snan Yatra. At the same time, same day, it was Mukund Datta disappearance day, and also Sridhar Pandit. So today we'll go through those two wonderful personalities, at least get a glimpse of their life. It's very nice when we're able to remember these devotees because they are pure devotees of the Lord. And as we read in that verse, because of the humble devotees, because the Lord offers his his blessings to the humble devotees, he gets his strength to defeat Lord Shiva. So these devotees can actually really make our spiritual lives very successful. So we seek their blessings. And one of the ways we do that is by remembering them on their appearance days, disappearance days. So we sort of missed this a couple of days ago, but there's no harm remembering these souls afterwards anyway. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 10, chapter 40th verse. Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chanda Jaya Gaura Bhattavanda Shri Mukund Datta Sridhar Prabhura Samadhyayi Yanhara Kirtane Nache Chaitanya Gosai. So Mukund Datta, a class friend of Lord Chaitanya, was another branch of Chaitanya tree. Lord Chaitanya danced while he sang. So this tree, the root, the cause of it is Chaitanya, and there's so many branches and sub-branches and leaves. So you can see Mukund Datta was a branch of Chaitanya tree, a very important personality. In Vraja, there are two very nice singers named Madhukanta and Madhuvrata. They appeared in Chaitanya Leela as Mukunda and Vasudev Ghosh. So this is in Gaura Ganodesh Dipika 140. Mukund had a melodious voice, and he knew the intricacies of musical meters and ragas. His sweet kirtan would please all the Vaishnavas at Navadvip. Tuning into Lord Gaura's heart, he would sing songs matching Lord Gauranga's feelings. So this is incredible. Mukund Datta was Nimai Pandit's classmate at Ganga Das's school. When Lord Chaitanya was a student, Mukund Datta was his class friend, and they frequently engaged in logical arguments. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would fight with Mukund Datta using tricks of logic. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a scholar, and he actually opened up his own school as well. And the mood of bhakti wasn't so prominent, and he would engage in a lot of arguments, a lot of discussions, a lot of logical discussions with his classmates, including Gadadhar Pandit, and Mukund Datta was one of them as well. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, Mukund Datta gave him pleasure by reciting verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna Lila. So after Gaya, there was a transformation in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The mood of bhakti really sank in. And of course, this is the Supreme Lord. His pastimes are inconceivable for us. But at that time, Mukund Datta, he would recite verses from the Bhagavatam, about Krishna Lila, from the 10th canto, and give Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a lot of pleasure. It was by his endeavor that Gadadhar Pandit Goswami became a disciple of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So Mukund Datta was very powerful. He knew Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a very amazing devotee. Actually, in his previous life, he was none other than the father of Radharani, Vrishabhanu. So he took Gadadhar Pandit to meet him one time. And Gadadhar saw Pundarik, he seemed like a worldly man with nice clothes and this and that. So he was in his mind thinking, what sort of devotee is he? And Mukund Datta realized. So Mukund Datta then spoke a verse from the Bhagavatam, and Pundarik Vidyanidhi went into trance. And then Gadadhar Pandit realized, this is a special devotee. I've committed offense against him. And then he took shelter initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Of course, Gadadhar is Radharani herself. So very fitting that they were together again in Chaitanya Leela. When Mukund Datta sang in the courtyard of Srivas Prabhu, Srivas Pandit, Mahaprabhu danced with his singing. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 21 hours exhibited an ecstatic manifestation known as the Sataprahariya, Mukund Datta inaugurated the singing, the function by singing. When Mahaprabhu experienced Mahabhav for 7 days in Srivas Pandit's house, the different devotees saw him in different forms. Devotees of Ramachandra saw Mahaprabhu as Ramachandra. Devotees of Vishnu saw him as Vishnu. Others saw him in different forms of Nrsingadev. Yet others saw him as different incarnations of Vishnu. In that gathering, due to Mukund Datta, because he attended many functions held by different classes of non-devotees, Mahaprabhu restricted Mukunda Prabhu. I shall not give you darshan. Mukunda remained outside the house, weeping. Seeing him crying, the devotees repeated to Mahaprabhu, Mukund is very sad. He wants to end his life by drowning in the river Ganga. He does not want to maintain his body if he cannot see your form. He is continuously crying outside. Mukunda sent a message to the devotees asking Mahaprabhu, when shall I see your form? Mahaprabhu answered, after crores of births, you will be able to see me. Hearing this, Mukunda became very happy and he began dancing outside the entrance. Oh, after only crores of births, I will see again Mahaprabhu. Therefore, I have no problem. Crores of births I can tolerate to have his darshan. So this is a phenomenal mood of Mukunda Prabhu. He doesn't mind tolerating anything because he knows ultimately he'll get the darshan of the Lord. Hearing that, Mahaprabhu was very happy and he said, now he has already crossed those crores of births and he can see me. He can come immediately. So this is a trick, actually. This is a way to, if we're feeling this life is so hard, so difficult, so many challenges, so many problems. If we simply thank the Lord, thank you, my dear Lord, all of this prasad I am getting due to my own previous karma, and I will tolerate because I know you are my protector. What the Lord will do in that situation, all of those troubles, he will disintegrate them to zero. There was a pastime, I just vaguely remember it, about I think it was a crow who was really struggling. He was in the desert, he had no water, he just was always ill. And he came across, I think it was Garud, or Garud came across him. And Garud, I think, advised him that, yes, this is difficult times for you, but remember the Lord, just always be grateful for the Lord, for everything he does. So what happened, the consciousness of the crow changed from always moaning and whinging. He was always grateful to the Lord for everything. Even if he fell down, he would say, thank you, my dear Lord. He was just grateful. His consciousness, mood just changed. And he was due to suffer for many, many years. But because of that change in consciousness and his mood of gratitude, all of that suffering was reduced down to just a few days. So I can't remember the exact details, but that was the crux of the pastime. So in our situation as well, yes, we're in the material world, we're going to have a lot of challenges. This body itself gives so many challenges. But this mood of gratitude changes the consciousness, and it will also reduce the burden. So this is an example. This is from this pastime. This is something that we can learn. So the devotee is called Mukunda. Oh, Mukunda, come, Mahaprabhu is calling you. But Mukund Prabhu said, Mahaprabhu said, after crores of births, then how will I go there now? If I go now, I will not be able to see the real form of Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, it will be an illusion. I do not want to go there now. Mahaprabhu said, now his crores of birth have gone and he can come and see me. Mahaprabhu overlooked him because he had offended Bhakti Devi, who gives devotional service. Mukund placed her on an equal level with karma and gyan, or even Mayavad philosophy, whenever he talked to followers of those paths. Acting like a chameleon, Mukund would glorify bhakti to bhaktas and then debate useless, mundane topics with karmis, non-devotees. And with Mayavadis, he discussed impersonalism. Mukunda chastised himself, however. However, Mahaprabhu became pleased with his humility and showed him his real form. So this is also another lesson that we should try to just be faithful to one path. And of course, the path that we recommend is bhakti. We've been studying the Bhagavatam, which simply glorifies bhakti, as does the Bhagavad Gita. And we know bhakti is the only way to really connect with the Supreme Lord. These other paths like karma, gyan, and mayavad, they're for other people, not for us. So if others are interested in that path, fair enough, let them continue. But our path, our exclusive devotion is to bhakti, Radharani. Mukund also saved Gadadhar from offending Pundarik, who Gadadhar thought was a materialist. Before disclosing his desire to take the renounced order of life, Lord Chaitanya first went to the house of Mukund Datta. Interesting. But at that time, Mukund Datta requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to continue his Sankirtan movement for a few more days before taking sannyas, which he did. Lord Chaitanya's accepting sannyas was made known to Gadadhar Pandit, Chandrasekhar Acharya, and Mukund Datta by Nityananda Prabhu, and therefore all of them went to Katwa and arranged for kirtan and all the paraphernalia. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas amid Mukund's kirtan. In the place known as Jaleshwar, Nityananda broke the sannyas rod of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mukund Datta was also present at that time. He went every year from Bengal to see Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. So this is a pastime of Mukund Datta. Mukund Datta Prabhu ki jai. And then we have this phenomenal devotee, Sridhar Kolovecha. And again, his disappearance is today. So this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1067. Kolovecha Sevekera Dekha Bhagya Sima Brahma Shiva Kandeyara Dekhiya Mahima Dhane Jane Panditye Krishna Nahi Pai Kevala Bhaktira Vasa Chaitanya Gosani. Behold the great fortune of the devotee Kolovecha. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva shed tears upon seeing his greatness. One cannot attain Lord Krishna by any amount of wealth, followers, or learning. Lord Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is controlled by pure devotion. So he is a phenomenal example of bhakti. He's one of the 12 Gopals in Krishna Lila, named Kusum Shava. He appeared in Gaura Lila as Sridhar Pandit, who was given the nickname Kola Vecha. Vecha means seller, Kola, bark seller. Gaura Ganesh Dipita, 133. Sridhar Pandit was a Brahmin resident of Mayapur, now in the place which is known as Sridhar Angam. So Sridhar Angam is where he is based. It's in Mayapur. We haven't actually been there, but interesting place. We should try to visit there. Sridhar was doing a small business, selling bananas and cups made from leaves of plantain trees, and his income was almost nothing. Still, he was spending 50% of his small income on the worship of the Ganga, and with the other 50%, he was somehow living. One day, the Lord went to Sridhar's place and asked him why he was so poor. He was worshipping the husband of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and yet he never had enough money for food or clothing, and his house was dilapidated. On the other hand, those who worship the devatas always seem to have an abundance of material wealth. Interesting point, my Lord Chaitanya. So then Sridhar answered that a bird who made his nest in the trees and wanders from place to place to find food was passing the time of day in the same way as a king in the palace enjoying the best objects of gratification. There was no difference of degree or amount of pleasure experienced by the two. So What he's saying is, whether you're rich or poor, it doesn't really matter. Whether you're wandering from one place to another place, begging for food, or you are a king enjoying opulent food, ultimately, this is a very temporary reality that we're in. And it will pass. It will finish. And it amounts to nothing. So whether you're a beggar or you're a king, it amounts to nothing. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, externally, although you appear to be poor, you're actually a rich man. So why did he say that? Why did he say you're a rich man? Because his knowledge was very valuable. So, and this is what Bhagavatam gives us, this knowledge. Material wealth and prosperity are not the signs of the Lord's mercy on someone. Those who worship the gods and goddesses, the devatas, are generally seen to prosper materially. But one who is rich in wealth of devotion to the Lord is the one who has truly benefited from his mercy. In fact, wealth is a disadvantage. Opulence is a disadvantage, because what it does, it takes you away, it diverts you from the real mission of life. And it makes the ego grow. I've got so much. I'm better than anybody else. And that false ego can really get in the way, become an obstacle on the path of bhakti. So less is more. Sometimes that's the saying that people have, less is more. And it's very, very true in the mood of bhakti. Less material possessions is more from a spiritual point of view. Gauranga gave this teaching to his associates through Sridhar Pandit. A devotee of Vishnu is free from attachments to material possessions and enjoyments. By way of example, during Krishna Leela, Vidur played the part of a poor man, but one who was rich in love for Krishna. On the other hand, Duryodhana possessed unlimited riches, but had no love for Krishna. This was truly poor. And the example was very poignant, that when Krishna went to Hastinapur, Duryodhana said to him, "Come, eat in my palace. I have prepared chapan bhog. I know you're a fan of chapan bhog." Krishna said, "That's okay. I go to Vidur's. I have a prior engagement." But Vidur, Duryodhana said, "He's a poor man. What's he going to give you? I've made some amazing arrangements for you." Krishna said, "It's okay, don't worry." And at Vidur's ashram, Vidurani prepared a wonderful meal for him, but she gave him the banana skin to eat rather than the banana, and he ate it. And Vidur said, "What are you doing, Vidurani? You've given him the wrong part of the banana." And Krishna said, "No, it's her love. I have accepted her love." So this shows the richness of Vidur and Vidurani. On a famous night when the Lord sat on the altar in Srivas Thakur's home and revealed his divine form to his devotees for 21 hours, showing them all the different incarnations of Vishnu, one after the other, he then told them to bring Sridhar there also. So this is phenomenal. The Lord is remembering his poor, poor devotee, the beggar, selling leaves. So see how important Sridhar is. Sridhar would regularly stay up the whole night, chanting the holy names and calling out to the Lord. This was a source of happiness to the devotees. But the non-devotees would complain that he was keeping them awake with his noise, and they would regularly criticize and rebuke him. As the devotees were going to his house on the Lord's order, they would hear him chanting loudly from a considerable distance prior to arriving. When he came to Shiva Sangam, Sridhar beheld the glorious divine form of the Lord and fell to the ground in a faint. Sridhar was brought back to consciousness by the Lord's voice, and then with the power that was given him through the Lord's mercy, began to recite hymns of glorification. Satisfied with Sridhar's hymns of praise, Mahaprabhu wished to give him the 8 mystic powers as a benediction. But Sridhar refused, saying he only wanted service to the Lord's lotus feet. So this is really fascinating. He refused these powers. Right? The power of becoming small, like a particle, Amina Siddhi, lighter than a soft feather, Lagima Siddhi. The Siddhi can get you anything and everything from anywhere and everywhere. Prakti Siddha. Become heavier than the heaviest, Mahima Siddhi. To act freely, even to create something wonderful or annihilate anything at will, Isitva Siddhi. To control all material elements, Pashitva Siddhi. To possess such power as will never be frustrated in any desire, Prakamya Siddhi. To assume any form or shape one may even whimsically desire, Kamavasa Yita Siddhi. So you refuse all of that. Lord Vishwambar repeatedly urged Sridhar to ask for a boon. Finally, Sridhar said, Lord, if you must give me something, then I ask for this. May that Brahman who used to pinch my, my banana leaves and bark be my Lord, lifetime after lifetime. May that Brahman who used to argue with me be my master, and I serve his lotus feet. This is from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, 2.9.223-2.5. So this was one of the pastimes. This Sridhar was very poor. Yet, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would tease him. He would pinch his banana leaves. Can you imagine? This is so amazing. And they would have a little argument. You got to pay me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why should I pay you? So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he's got this fantastic message. No one can recognize the true character of a devotee. It should not be thought that the ability to collect great amounts of money is a function of devotion. Know that someone who is able to accumulate a great number of followers is a better Vaishnava than someone who cannot. Furthermore, if someone is a great religious scholar, this does not mean he is a devotee of the Lord. A servant of Sri Chaitanya might have very little money, may show no signs of having a great number of followers, may have no talent for argument or debate. And ordinary people are unable to understand why he is indifferent to these externals. These devotees consider service to Chaitanya to be something more valuable than the accumulation of wealth, followers, or learning. Thus, there is no possibility of the depth of their wisdom, their glories, and their superiority being perceived by the general public. So don't judge a book by its cover. Gauranga showed the amazing pastime of hungrily taking Sridhar's foodstuffs without even being invited to do so. While the Lord was engaged in his student pastime, Sridhar used to make his living by selling banana. He would tell the real price of an item he would sell. Everyone in Navadip knew this and so would not haggle with him. Gauranga would come to Sridhar and give him only half the amount he was asking for the bananas and then start to walk away. Every day, the two of them would pull back and forth on the bunch of bananas or something else, arguing for an hour or more over the price that had to be paid. Even though he argued with Sridhar, when he saw that he did not become angry, he would take all the goods that he was selling. Even though this is the way it looks from a superficial point of view, the fact of the matter is that when Sridhar saw the beautiful form of the Lord, he allowed him. At the sight of the Lord's beauty, he would become enchanted and immersed in an ocean of joy. While arguing with him, Mahaprabhu would call him names in great satisfaction, sometimes subtly hinting at his own divine identity. Every day you buy things to offer to the Ganga. Why don't you just give something to me without charging anything? Don't you know I'm the father of the Ganga that you worship? I'm telling you the truth about this. Chaitanya Bhagavat. Then finally, coming to a settlement, Sridhar agreed to daily give Mahaprabhu some bananas or other items on the banana tree for free. From then on, the Lord would daily eat with great satisfaction from the little bowls made of banana bark that had been given to him by Sridhar. When Mahaprabhu was leading the Sankirtan party, after delivering Chandakaji, he returned via Sridhar's Pandit's house. He then took a drink of water from Sridhar's old beaten iron water pot. When Sridhar saw Mahaprabhu do this, he was mortified and he fell unconscious. Mahaprabhu's actions was meant to teach us that by drinking a devotee's water, we can attain devotion. He wanted to show that the water from a devotee's water jug, even though it is old and rusty, is like nectar to the Supreme Lord himself. This really brings us back to that point number 4 of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's bhajan today. Amazing. The Lord is Bhakta Vatsal, even affectionate to, ever affectionate to the devotees. Tears poured from Gauranga's eyes like the currents of the Ganga, and a wonderful kirtan began in Sridhar's courtyard, in which all the devotees led by Nityananda and Advaita Prabhus were crying. Sridhar lived in a wretched house with holes in its roof, could have sought immediate relief from this pathetic condition. However, Sridhar said his house was no better than a bird's nest, for nests have no roof at all. The day before Gauranga took sannyas, Sridhar came to see the Lord carrying a Karela. While Gauranga saw the gift, he laughed and he asked, "Where did you get it?" But he knew that he would be leaving the next day and would not be able to eat it. He did not want to see that gift go unused, so he made Sachi Devi prepare it that very day. Sridhar came every year to Puri to meet the Lord at the time of Rath Yatra. There's a story of Kolavicha Sridhar, a devotee of the Lord, who, although very poor, gave half of his meager into worshipping Ganga. By so doing, he greatly pleased the Lord. It is not so important the quantity of books that we distribute, but that we serve Krishna as best as we can, depend on him for our results. This is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Sridhar Pandit Ki Jai. Very, very nice instruction by the Lord, by Srila Prabhupada. Just do your best. Don't worry about the rest. Any questions, any comments?
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Is it Sridhar Pandit? Is it the same one who has been writing all the commentaries?
No,
this is
that's
different.
somebody else. Yeah.
That's somebody else. Okay.
Yes. That was, he was before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Was he before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Yeah, Sridhar. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Sridhar, was his name Sridhar? His name was same.
Yeah, Sridhar.
Sridhar Swami. Okay, so this one was different, yeah.
This is a different one, yeah. He didn't write, he was a banana seller.
Banana seller, yeah. But still, he saw the Lord's incarnations, forms.
Yeah. Yes. Lord he was very dear to the Lord.
Yeah. And Mukund Datta, what was he in his previous life? Did you?
He was a singer in Vrajalila. There's two amazing singers. There's Mukund and this.
Yeah, you saw that mentioned. He was that as a singer.
That's right. That's right. And his name, Mukund Kanta, and then there was Mukund Vrata. So Madhu Vrata. So Madhu Kanta came as Mukund Datta, and his brother Vasudev Datta is in Vrajalila. He's Madhu Vrata. So yeah, they're amazing. I mean, they're amazing singers everywhere in Braj. But if you can imagine, these guys have been mentioned as two of the great singers. They must be amazing.
And they were nothing as such in this compared in the material world, isn't it?
In this material world, yeah, that's right.
I mean, nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Heart with her, and yet great devotee of
Mahaprabhu. And because Mahaprabhu even said to Sridhar Pandit that you can have the 8 mystic cities, and Sridhar said, "No, what's the use? I'd rather have bhakti." So it shows bhakti is so powerful.
Yeah, I was just wondering why Mahaprabhu didn't offer him to live in a better place. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. Because he asked him the question, how come you are living in this meager place? And Sridhar's answer really pleased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, well, what's the difference between the birds and the king? The birds travel from one place to another, begging food, getting food. The king has this fantastic arrangement. He gets so much opulent food, but they're all going to die. Both bird and the king are going to die. It's temporary enjoyment for the king. The bird is struggling. It's temporary suffering. So Mahaprabhu said to him, externally, you though you appear to be poor, but actually you're a rich man. So Mahaprabhu was very happy with him. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Why he didn't offer him or give him a bigger place? Mahaprabhu's, see, Krishna's mission was somewhat different. Like when Sudama came to him, he didn't even ask for anything, yet he gave so much. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his mood was different from Krishna's. You know, his mood was devotees should stay humble, remain humble, even externally. You know, his mood was very much. It was like when Sanatana Goswami came to him, he gave up everything, but he had one very nice chadar, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew it gave up everything, but he kept looking at this chadar, and Sanatana Goswami realized, oh, I'm attached to this chadar, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can see it. So he even gave that away, and he swapped it for some old chadar. And then Mahaprabhu said, yes, now I'm happy. So his mood was different. You know? He didn't want his devotees to even appear opulent. Internally, they were not opulent, but even externally, he didn't want them to appear opulent, which is interesting. And while we're going through the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that answer, because it's a very interesting question you ask. I've never thought about that, you see.
No, the reason I'm asking is like it's hot today. I was just thinking, living in this thatched house with a lot of thatched hut rather, so much heat, but especially more at the time of the monsoon and the rain.
Can you imagine?
Imagine, and so much rain in that part of the country in India.
Yeah. So as we're going through the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we'll probably get a better insight of the mood of Chaitanya, you know, in relation to the devotees.
How many verses are there in CC?
I don't know, but the chapter I'm doing now, chapter 4, is 250 verses, one chapter. I've been on it for the last 3 or 4 days. I only got up to verse about 50 at the moment.
Oh my goodness.
I know it's hard. I think, I don't know.
I think 10,000 is a little bit less than.
Might be, yeah.
Less than Srimad
10,000.
Bhagavatam.
Yeah. I think, oh yes, less than Bhagavatam. Definitely less than Bhagavatam. I know some chapters have about 500 verses, but these ones are, but they're quite, there's a lot in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a lot. So it's going to be interesting. Thank you, Nariman. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay. Mukund Datta ki jai, Sridhar Pandit ki jai.